Hey guys, we're here tonight after a long holiday break with our first tournament champ of the new year, Pestilence. Why don't you say hello?
Hello.
Alright, so let's just jump right into the very generic, very standard question we always start with, which is why Shadow?
Well, what I wanted to do is like start the year with a powerful deck, pretty much. I just wanted to secure the win, and out of the three big meta decks, Shadow is probably like the best deck I know how to use. I've been using it for last format, so I felt pretty secure.
Alright, sounds like you talked to somebody about your deck decision before the tournament.
Yeah.
Alright, with the success Shadows have been receiving with Denkuseka, why did you elect not to main deck it? Or even side deck it for that matter?
Well, I mean, there are different reasons. First of all, Denko Seika, I feel that the most powerful matchup that you can use is probably against some other decks, Burning Abyss mainly. But on the other two decks, what you want to do is make big pushes, and their backer is not really that necessary to clog. Like, you already have enough back row hate, even triple MSD, triple shadow games that pretty much can have like an MSD that you don't need more popping. You don't need more back row hate pretty much. I didn't want to clog too much on that. So what I wanted to do is get enough back row hate on one side and enough OTK potential on one side and just make a giant push for a game. Of course, like against Burn Abyss, that would have kind of sucked because I didn't have enough, answers sometimes. But I'm pretty secure because as long as you have Shadow Fusion against Burn Abyss, you're pretty secure. Like as long as you can keep looping, you're good to go because they need extra deck monsters in order to survive and fight back. So they pretty much have to get over your stuff.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well, some Shadow players are opting to not run Sinister Shadow games and run 3 Squamata. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I understand the reasoning behind it, but I think that three I was funded overdoing stuff. I find that the versatility Shadow Games gives to the deck is what makes it superior to a lot of decks, of course. And Squamata, it's kind of like a man eater bug, if you want it to be, but that's about it. Like, if you have a Squamata in hand, you barely want to use that effect of popping. You mostly want to use it with Light Deck in order to ditch two cards with Construct. However, with Sinister Shadow Game, it can be an Upstart Goblin, it can be just can summon a Falco, and by the end of the turn you can make it like an MSD. And most importantly, sometimes when you have like those break hands and you have like sometimes I just open Christia, for example, and I need a shadow, so I would just use the shadow games, get the hedgehog, get the Squamana, that's the shadow you want to use this material, and then digit to, use the full potential of construct. But if you're on three Squamata, I think that you're never really gonna use three. Honestly, I rather prefer have more options until. Mm.
Okay. Well, I guess the main talking point, especially as I look over the deck list, and certainly Fresh probably felt the same way. The biggest talking point is the Christia.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe you can talk about that a little bit, but also try to answer his two part question here, which is what is the reason behind Archlord Christia and Diffusion, and what is the advantage to having them in the mirror match?
Well, pretty much, Christia is he's the big boss of the mirror match. I like to think that the Denko version with Dark Arm Dragon. they have the Dark Arm Dragon, and I have my Christia. The thing is, Christia is too big of a card to deal with in today's meta. Maybe not for Cliffords, but that's the point because you can always set it out. Um, but against Burning Abyss, if you have, well, okay, against Burning Abyss, for example, you summon Christia. So if you have an Archon Starch with, most likely you do, uh, they have already two problems to deal with. So if a Phoenix Windblast your Christia, which they have to because that's the only way they can pretty much do stuff, or else they'll lose, they have to deal with Construct next. So you're given like, Chris is like your offense push plus your defense that keeps your opponent from doing anything. I prefer it on Winda because Winda can do so much. It just 2200, and sometimes when I've seen some pretty strong opponents actually that side deck Forbidden Lands, and they just summon Squamana, just Forbidden Lands, whatever, and bam, it's gone. For
Yeah.
example, or any other deck, because it's really easy to get rid of. Instead of Chris is not easy at all. Pretty much Chris is Vandy's Fiend with 2800 attack points. I decided to make like a little engine. Well, it's not really little, it's 9 cards really, but it's the only reason why I ran Call of the Hunted. Um, this deck has actually a lot of um, OTK potential. Actually, I calculated it probably has more than the Dragon version because you can see how much aggressive cards it has. So, for example, the main thing is this deck is made to go against meta. If you don't go against meta, it's gonna struggle a little bit, but you might still get a win. The point is to get Shadow Fusion, dump the Christia and Squamata, do the effects, etc. Poke for damage, use Diffusion, get the Christia back with the material you used, just as Squamata for the sake of argument, and swing again. At that point, you have enough field pressure to just keep poking your opponent to death, and that's what I wanted to achieve. Uh, the Call of the Hunted even helps even more because if you have already constructed the field or a Shekinaga or whatever you want to have, that's the Christia, and that's just too much to deal with at that point. I mean, most of the time when they see Christia, they pretty much scoop because it's just too big on a card to deal with. Just too big. The only reason why people run Vanities and Majesty's Fiend on the side deck, sometimes on the main deck, is how powerful and game locking is, and that's Christy. And with this deck, you can get to him really, really easy. You're not really gonna summon him by his effect, special summons himself. You're probably gonna get to him by Call of the Hunted and Diffusions, but that's totally fine. That's 6 card, and with all the deck thinnings, you're always gonna see those cards. I never had a match that I never seen one Call of the Hunter and never seen one Diffusion. You're always gonna run into them. It's quite impossible, really. Like if you see any standard Shadow match around, let's just say 10 turns, they're gonna have like 15 cards in their deck. It's almost impossible, like I said. So yeah.
Okay. Um, there's a point I want to make because of what you said about diffusion, which was part of the question, and
Yeah.
when you mention it, it kind of, I don't know. I guess a lot of players, including myself, when you look at the deck initially, you go 3 main deck diffusions.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's
tricky.
kind of makes your skin curl a little bit, but when you explain it, you kind of understand that, it's not necessarily just an option versus your opponent. It's also an offensive weapon for yourself or a
Yeah, pretty
facilitator for the
much.
normal summon of Christia.
Yeah, I need to I want to think of it that way. Let's just say the standard Dragon Shadows. So pretty much what they would do is swap the diffusions, swap the Qwaser with whatever engine they want to use, maybe swap the Call of the Hunted for Denko Seka. But if you think about it, both Call of the Hunted, both diffusions have more assaulting in general, they do more damage. Plus, diffusion, it's a great card that lets you escape some tricky situations, like you said, bottomless you construct. You rather send it back to the actual deck rather than just let it vanish.
For sure.
Yeah, so Call of the Hunt, it's kind of the same thing. It lets you open more of those plays, but it's great on their mirror match when you can diffusion their own monsters. Like, it's priceless, honestly.
Okay, I have a last question about the main deck, and it's just in regards to the Call of the Haunted and Christia. We obviously see the three main deck mathematicians. How often do you say, or would you say that Christia is the pitch for mathematician or foolish burial?
I mean, well, you can't really pitch Christia for a mathematician because it has to be level 4 or lower.
Oh yes,
But
excuse me.
for Foolish Burial, I actually never done it, honestly.
Okay.
I prefer to actually get the draw from the beast or the actual puppy because if you think about it, I rather have the Christia develop by itself rather than force the Christia. That's like two different side of the deck. Once you start forcing things, your deck starts getting more inconsistent by the time. Instead, if you let your own deck develop by itself with your own like construct and stuff, just study by developing. A Christian in late game, it's way more dangerous than a first turn Christian, for example. It's a card that you want to see like once your opponent has, let's say, 3 cards or 4 cards in hand. Once they have that, you know that it's the time to summon Christia, and that's when it's gonna do the most damage. Because if you summon Christia at the beginning, they're just gonna have a counter for it, and that's kind of bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then let's move to the side deck here. Excuse me.
Yeah.
The first question is why Hidden Armory, and more so, why at 3?
A lot of friends have been asking me that. A lot of people don't agree, but after I give them the explanation, they understand me, of course. Um, well, have you ever had those games when someone summons a Majesty's Fiend or Majesty's Fiend and just keep poking you for game
And
just
then
because they
Snatch
have
Steal is the one main deck out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Got you. Got you.
I just want to make sure I have like 4 of those answers. Like as many answers I have is better. I used to have like triple mirror force, and it was actually pretty good because against clay forts is actually pretty viable, so they cannot decay you. But when I saw this, I was like, either armory, so I can get off that lock that
Nice.
pretty much locks me out of the game because most of the time when people did that to me was GG. Like sometimes I just could because I had no way. Like a Majesty Fiend is way bigger than a Vanity Fiend sometimes, and I just had no out to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Okay, that
imagine
makes
if
perfect
like
sense.
some sort of mirror match and someone summoned Christie on me. That would be priceless. Double Christian field.
All right then. So I guess the only other card to really ask about is the Mask Restrict.
Well, uh, mostly for Cliffords, of course. The reasoning behind Musgrave Restrict is not only for Cliffords but mostly for rogue decks, and it's kind of one of those generic underrated cards. Cliffords, in order to be, let's just say, dangerous to me, they need to be able to send back my stuff. Once they send back to the extra deck I construct, now we're in problem because I cannot loop anymore. But if they cannot tribute what's the name of the guy that sends back? I always forgot. Well, the Clifford that sends back um, to the hand. If they cannot do that, you pretty much got the game won, pretty much because they have nothing to threaten you with, as you can just keep poking and stuff. Because the most dangerous stuff about Cliffords is those effects that pretty much makes them blood, sends back your opponent's things. That's what you gotta be watch out for, and that's why I said that it must go restrict because pretty much nullifies the main threat of the deck. Pretty much.
Okay. So on to the extra. There wasn't much to really question here, I guess. But first I'd have a specific question he wanted to
Yeah.
ask, which was how often does the second Shadow Shekinaga come up?
Not that often, honestly, but I might actually take it out for more options, of course, because it's nice. It's a nice dodge. It's a nice dodge, honestly, to have double because if they do something to the first Shikinaga, it's just a bottomless. You can just shut off fusion, just go for another. But this deck goes too much into so much into construct. We can argue like all shadow players want to go into construct. They don't want to go into winter. Well, most of the situation they don't want to go in Shekinaga. They want to go construct because construct is the one that makes uh, your game steady, progressing. Shekinaga doesn't do much. The second Shekinaga is there just to dodge stuff, pretty much, with El Shadow Fusion.
Okay,
Oh, also, I forgot about that. Actually, it's the reason why I have blow up bulb on the side deck because if for some case some troll decides to run applicate for towers, that's kind of like my out because Star Eater is kind of difficult to do. Like you have a Shadoko, you have a Shadow Falco, but you need to get it too. But having more options to get to a Star Eater, it's it's powerful, and sometimes that's actually my only out to kill. So I actually needed a way to just save it, pretty much save the game.
for sure. Okay, so that wraps it up for the deck. Let's see. You could talk to us potentially about your most difficult matchup tonight, or what deck were you most worried about tonight?
Well, the deck I was most worried about was maybe Clifford's because Christia doesn't do much on game one. I knew I could swap it out, but um, doesn't really do much. It's still just material for construct, but man, um, the best matchup we can all agree was the last one. That I was actually got. I never got a call quite so close on sometime. I mean, a Qwaser is still. People believe that a Qwaser is not fearsome until they summon it on them. Then when they have to deal with it, they actually realize how fearful to go against a Qwaser is, because because Shadol is actually closer to a combo deck than anything else. And if they negate one of your combo pieces, you can already tell they're starting to struggle. So if you open just a one fusion spell, yeah, you're kind of screwed pretty much. That's that's the only reason why I scooped game one pretty much because just that Qwaser, I had a Shadow Fusion, but he was gonna negate it, so I decided to set it as a bluff because I really had nothing else to do like on that turn. So I just set the Shadow Dragon, and once it just summons another sync, I was like, well, GG, he's just gonna poke me twice, and he's gonna win pretty much. In game three, he actually decided to pick up the Maxi challenge. Terrible choice.
Yes.
I drew like my entire deck pretty much. And it's funny because I didn't get any shell fusion. Although it didn't really matter because what I'm gonna use from the deck, like all my monsters, already drew all my monsters. It was kind of redundant by that point. I just wanted to overkill, I guess. But the best thing is that what made it more a viable win is that I didn't have to because he ran shooting star, so that's big.
Hmm.
Dealing with any of the starters, archetypes is pretty uh, problematic with with shadows in general because they just negate your construct and just keep troll popping till the end of times, till you don't have any more constructs, and then well, you're kind of screwed. But the only reason why I probably facilitate my win is I use Nightstone Steel, then he negated, of course, and I just hit an armor. I just used Nightstone Steel again, and
Wow.
he just rage quitted. I mean, he didn't rage quit, but in my
So
mind, he did.
Hidden Armory was part of the win tonight.
Pretty much, that's what made me win. Pretty much, I mean, and it was hilarious when I started negating his stuff, his Raigeki with his own Qwaser. Like that was his I just negate with his own boss monster. Just it
Priceless.
was priceless. Yeah, it was priceless. I mean, it was it was so big because it kind of got me my attention that he wasn't. I think he wasn't running MSTs,
Hmm.
so that even made him more viable. So I was like, you know what? I normally side this against counter side deck. That's what hidden armor is for. But in this case, what I was hoping for is to draw Maxi and hidden armory with with a snatch and steal, make him do the Maxi challenge. So I could get my combo pieces and just steal his Qwaser. But I actually got scared because I've seen one of the comments and say, "Oh my God, he's doing for a double Qwaser," and then when I got really scared because it was like double Qwaser, I have to deal with a double. Are you serious? But yeah, my plan, just in case, was use Snatch Steal, then it went negate because I actually drew into double Snatch Steal. So I would negate the first one, then I will tribute it for Beast, and then I will use hidden arm. Actually, no, it wouldn't even have worked because I cannot even normal summon. I actually think I would have been screwed if he would have gone like double Qwaser, honestly. But I'm like, even though like I still think I had kind of the upper hand because, of course, I had like what 30 cards in my hand. I had what to do.
And also,
uh,
if he's not main decking the MST, he can't really, in a simplified game state, force you to negate with Quasar. You get to negate when you want to.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know why he wasn't running them. I mean, maybe he didn't draw into them, or maybe he did use them. I don't really recall, but that's kind of dangerous because Bandri's Emptiness is a big card in this format.
Yeah,
Like
and
one
Jung
of
Doppel
those.
is full of a bunch of facilitating monsters that are generally small, and so if Emptiness is on the field, you pretty much just say I lose.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
It's
maybe he used them already or just didn't draw one.
yeah, because like not using MSTs, it's gambling pretty bad. But although thinking about it, I understand him because he always started first. He didn't let me start second. I know he feared Winda, but that also tells me that he had no way to counter Winda.
Hmm.
On top of that, here's the big thing. His deck is pretty much reminds me about Fable deck. So it's one of those one turn hit kill decks. So it's everything or nothing, you know?
Yeah.
Or you win on that turn pretty much like you make such a powerful field that after next turn you just win with Quasars or you're pretty much gonna lose. Although I've seen some versatility. I mean, I've seen Junk Destroyer, which can get rid of back row.
Yeah, it has a few options
Yeah,
where it can play in certain game states, but ever since
yeah,
the Drill Warrior version of that deck went away, it's pretty much been that I'm going to win this turn or I'm not going to win at all.
yeah. Pretty much. That's his deck. Pretty much. It was gambling on a first turn kill, and that's what I was pretty scared of this guy. Like by that point, I felt threatened because you don't see those decks anymore, and it can be definitely be dangerous if you don't have the right counters to that.
For sure. But I have two last things to say because I think we've talked about everything got everything pretty well wrapped up. But first thing is this: I went ahead and took a screenshot because I joined that match late. But when I joined it, you had a handful of cards and a snatch steal on Qwaser. I'm like, well, I gotta screenshot this, and so I posted it in the screenshot thread so it could live on in infamy. And then secondly, we get the deck list from you guys as part of your entry. Like you sign up and then you give us a deck list. That's your entire entry. And in your entry or in your deck list, the screenshot has Max C highlighted. So maybe, yeah, maybe that's some foreshadowing right there.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's the interview. It's good to be back, starting a new year off right, and we will see you next weekend.